What's happening, YouTube? Caliber here. We're here to do another 7 Deadly Sins video. I apologize I didn't get one out yesterday, guys. This one was all set up to be launched and I had a few technical difficulties. I had to do some re-recordings and I just didn't have the time to get this out, but we're getting it out today. So yes, we're going to be talking about ult pushing today, guys. If you've ever wondered if you've been in a PvP match and somebody got a turn to ult on you, or how people are getting such high scores, you know, via the guild bosses. And, you know, maybe you've been doing a great demon and, you know, you've watched somebody get an ult super quick and you're like, how did they pull that off so quick? You know, I'm going to show you some tricks on how you can do some ult pushing. I was really surprised on stream how many people didn't realize you could ult push like this. They understood half of the mechanics, but not all the mechanics. So yeah, let's hop in here and talk about some ult pushing, and hopefully you know, this video helps you guys out. All right, so let's talk about ult pushing, guys. So ult pushing is a cool little tactic here. So anytime you drag a card anywhere, you get 1 point, okay, towards your ult gauge. So I can drag this on top of there. Whenever you combine a card, you get an ult gauge too. Whenever you use a card, you get an ult gauge. So this is what you call ult pushing here. Basically what I did was I dragged a card for 1 to stack on top of another card to give me 2 points. All right, then I used both of those cards for 1 point each, maxing out my ult gauge because I have Merlin in there. So that's one of the tactics that you can do when you do ult pushing strats. And it's very, very, very effective for pushing in PvP. So I'm going to show you a little bit of how this works in raids and other situations and stuff like that. But it's a pretty good solid strat to just move something back and forth via raids when you're doing the guild bosses. I mean, taking some of those bosses out and getting your ults up. That's how some people get some really high numbers with like Jericho and stuff like that. They basically slide it around until they get the ult built up. All right, for ult pushing here, guys, when it comes to guild bosses, so a lot of people, what they do is they build up a strong attack, a good freeze, a 200% damage freeze, stack up an attack, and go in for a Jericho ult. Well, to achieve this Jericho ult can be a little difficult at times. So what people do is they take this and they go boom. All right, we used up 1 turn, but we got 1 orb there. Boom. And you just try to flush out your units a little bit and get some orbs burnt and built up. So I've already got 4 orbs built up already on her, making her just about ready to go. So it's not going to take a whole lot more for this to happen for me. That's what people mean when they talk about ult pushing and stuff like that, is to be able to achieve that. So pretty much every time you move 1 card, you get a point. If you combine a card, you get a point. If you combine a card when the cards come in, you get a point. It's all about trying to stack that and trying to get as close as possible to that sexy damage, man. All right, so this is kind of like the ideal situation almost, because of that ult push. So she's sitting there, she's chilling with her ult maxed out. So I didn't get a chance to use the bloody freaking attack buff, which is unfortunate, but I'm able to do something like this, guys. I'm able to do something like this. I'm able to cast this on her. I'm able to go in there with the freeze and then go in there with the Jericho slam like this. Ideally, I would have loved to have the attack buff on there for a little extra damage. But this is, you know, this is the benefits for doing ult pushes. It gets a little sloppy at times and it's not 100% perfect. But that's how you get some RNG to work on the table for you with some ult pushes and doing those one-shot kills in a few turns with Jericho, you know, whoever you're using, you know. So this is pretty much how people do guild bosses with the ult push. I'll do like an in-detail guide on this if you guys are interested on exactly what I go through and what I do. Yeah, ult pushing, guys. I was really surprised at how many people didn't know what ult pushing was. Matter of fact, like, I knew what it was, but I forgot how good it was. I was doing a few fights and somebody in my stream was like, wait a second, why aren't you doing this? And I was like, oh my gosh, I've known that, but why haven't I been doing that? So it's really cool to just be able to do that. I suggest just playing around with it, gain a feel for it. I like to run Merlin in the group. There's a few other options for ult pushing that you can pull off too. For example, when you're going and you're doing one of these fights, there's a food here, like this honey apple pie here. Right here starts the battle with one ultimate gauge at 1, which is super huge. There's another thing that helps push you, which is Green Merlin. Green Merlin has a skill at the start of the battle. She can be in the 4 slot. She can be in any slot you want, but she fills the allies gauge ultimate move orbs by 1 orb at the start of the battle. And there's another character that I like to use for Grey Demon quite often, and that's Green Elizabeth here. She starts the battle, fills the hero's ultimate gauge move by 2 orbs at the start of the battle, so she already starts with 2 orbs. And then when she does her ult, she gives 2 orbs to the whole entire group, which is huge. So you can push her to the front right away. She already starts off with 1 orb. Maybe you brought Green Merlin with you too, and you can basically push her. She already has 3. You can do 2 attacks with her. Boom, get herself up with her ult turn 1. Use her ult to push everybody else's ult bars up by 2, which is super huge. So there's a couple ways of doing ult pushing. Keep that stuff in mind. You got food, you got Elizabeth, you got Green Merlin. Those are just a few options. I'm not sure if there's anything more than that, but those are the ones I specifically use. So keep your eyes out for ways to ult push and stuff like that. And hopefully this was helpful. And I was about to end the video, but then I thought of a whole bunch of new things, so we got this in here. So if the edit seems kind of weird, my apologies. I just wanted to make sure you guys got all the information you needed. So yeah, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next video.